Integrity of a local legal tender.
On October the 26th this year, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, in a special press briefing revealed that 2.73 trillion naira out of the 3.23 trillion naira currency in circulation, that's about 85%, was outside the banking system.
An indication.
In a bid to curb the holding of bank notes and take back control of cash in circulation, Mr. Emefiele announced the bank's action to redesign the 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes, which takes effect mid-December, and gave January 31, 2023 as deadline for the deposit of all old notes outside the banks.
We believe that the redesign of the currency will help deepen our drive to entrench cashless economy, as it will be complemented by increased minting of our e-naira. This will further rein in the currency outside the banking system into the banking system, thereby making monetary policy more efficacious.
The new Naira notes were then launched on November 23 by President Muhammadu Buhari. Today, as a follow-up to its currency management and cashless policy drive, the CBN, in a statement, revised cash withdrawal limits for individuals and companies. Going forward, individuals and corporate organizations are allowed to withdraw over the counter a maximum of 100,000 and 500,000 naira per week. Maximum daily withdrawals for ATMs and POS was set at 20,000 naira with a cumulative of 100,000 naira weekly. Also, only denominations of 200 naira and below will be loaded into ATMs. Meanwhile, as an exception for compelling circumstances and legitimate purposes, cash withdrawals above the prescribed limit are allowed, but should not exceed 5 million and 10 million naira for individuals and corporate organizations. However, this would attract processing fees of 5% and 10% and should not exceed once a month.
So there you have it, and it starts on the 9th of January 2023. After, of course, the redesigned notes would have been in circulation from about a week from now. Now we have the Chief Executive Officer of Dairy Hills, Kelvin Emmanuel, to share some insight on the implication of this. I know you've been thinking about it since you heard about it yesterday. How can this affect you? What possible impact can it have on you? We have Kelvin Emmanuel, General from our Abuja studio. Hi, Kelvin. Good morning.
Good morning, Nini. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so once again, we're talking about the CBN. Well, I think we did know that there was going to be some sort of limits, you know, there was going to be some sort of limits when we heard that the central bank is trying to mop up cash in circulation and all of that. But does this sound too harsh? Is this just all right when we see that the central bank had said that about 85% of money in the country is outside the banking vault? So is this good enough to deal with that 85%, or is it too harsh?
Ini, thank you so much for having me. You see, when I look at government policy, I always like to refer back to data, extant laws, you know. The governor of the central bank is raising the reasons why he's going ahead with this policy as going cashless, money laundering, and inflation. And the reason why I don't buy the rationale behind this policy decision is because when you go back to the data, when you go back to the fact that in 2018, President Buhari signed an act that established the NFIU and took the NFIU out of the control of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and saddled them with the responsibility of tracking and monitoring suspicious transaction reports, STRs, for financial institutions and non-financial designated institutions and professions, you know. I think that it's a bad idea for you to reduce the velocity of money in circulation by restricting the amounts that can be withdrawn from ATM card to 200 naira notes, considering that you have the level of inflation you have in Nigeria. What is the reality on the ground? The reality on the ground is that there are 17 ATMs 147 POS machines, and 4 bank branches per 100,000 Nigerians. We have an internet penetration rate of 38.7%, right? You have an unbanked population of 55.5%. This is the reality on the ground. How do people who do transactions, both the people who are in the markets and the people who transact with the people in the markets, in different markets in Nigeria, Sabon Tashan market, Dawano market, Tutu Wada market, Gweru market in Adamawa, Araria market in Aba. These are markets that transact billions of naira. Alaba market, Alaba International in Lagos, billions of naira in cash transactions on a daily basis. How do you reconcile the reality they have on the ground with the fact that even the mobile transaction has a limit of 100,000 naira and the banks always have downtimes? So, you know, when there are policy decisions rolled out like this with a very short window, it's my view that the Central Bank of Nigeria has not fully thought through the implications and the realities on the ground, considering that the infrastructure available on the ground does not support the policy that has been made.
But don't you think, I mean, the world is going digital. There are options. There's obviously the e-naira. I'm sure the central bank would like to use this opportunity. And the risks attached to the cash transactions, perhaps the central bank is trying to use this opportunity, apart from dealing with the issue of corruption and the electioneering cash involved in elections. Perhaps the central bank is using this time to create a new platform for the country to say, let's go digital, guys, and it will even reduce the cost of printing.
For you to go digital, you have to provide infrastructure to go digital. Just last week, a news report was released that the Nigerian Governors Forum has finally agreed that the right-of-way charges for telecom lines be slashed by 90% from 145 naira per kilometer to 14.5 naira per kilometer. Good development. But what is the reality on the ground? I'll tell you what. There are about 42,000 base transceiver stations in Nigeria, BTS, that take signals for all the major telcos in Nigeria. Lagos has the highest concentration. Lagos has about 15% of it at about close to 6,000, if I'm not mistaken. Yobe as a state. Now, Lagos is a state with 30,577 kilometers in terms of size. Yobe as a state has less than 400 base receiver stations. So when you consider the fact that Lagos has more BTS per square kilometer and people resident compared to states in the northwest, states in the northeast, and you consider the fact that there are states in Nigeria that actually do not have access to telephone signal, how do you implement digital and electronic banking transactions? I'll give you another pointer. A report was released that says 63% of Nigerians are in multidimensional poverty. The implication of that is their per capita income is less than $2,100 per year, which means they earn cumulatively total less than $1 million naira per year. You have Nigerians struggling to pay for food, to buy bread, to buy rice, to buy chicken, to buy oil, to buy cooking gas. Yeah? The price of 12 kg of cooking gas is, in some areas, 12,000 naira. Yeah? So when it comes to it, will the average person who is earning less than $1 million naira cumulatively a year choose to buy internet data for their phone? That's if they have a smartphone. Now, if they have a smartphone, because smartphones have become expensive because of the exchange rates, over food, over school fees. These are the issues, the fundamental issues on the ground that is not being considered in rolling out a policy direction and saying that in about 1 month you're going to restrict people from withdrawing more than 100,000 naira per week and come up with all kinds of very harsh conditions on which they'll have to go through if they choose to withdraw more than that on a weekly basis.
Well, we hear you, Kelvin Emmanuel, asking for infrastructure and that, I mean, there should be a pathway to it, to a policy, especially if we want the policy to be implemented and impactful as expected. But this is a new conversation we're just starting. We have to thank you so much for joining us, Kelvin Emmanuel, Chief Executive Officer of Dairy Hills. always passionate when it comes to
Thank you for having
CBN.
me.
We'll talk to you very soon, I'm almost sure of that.
Thank you so much for having me.